Hello, I am Jung Sung Min, an information and communication consultant. I hope to share knowledge about information and communication with you, and that we all have a happy and beneficial time together. In this session, we will learn about wireless communication and the best product in wireless communication, which is the mobile phone. First, let's explore what wireless communication is. It refers to a system that transmits and receives signals without wires through electromagnetic waves or sound waves. Most wireless systems use RF, which stands for radio frequency, and IR, which stands for infrared. The table you see shows mobile communication technologies, certified by the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, starting from 0G and going up to the latest 5G. The 0G, MTS, and IMTS methods were established in 1946 and 1964, respectively, while the 1G AMPS method was established in 1983. From the 2G generation onward, it has been divided into three series. The first is the 3GPP series, the second is the 3GPP2 series, and the third is the IEE series. So typically in the 3GPP series, the 2G wireless communication method is GSM, the 3G is WCDMA, and the 4G is LTE. The IEE fourth generation standard is YBRO, which was established in 2006. Wireless communication can be considered the alpha and omega of modern IT, as Guglielmo Marconi won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1909 for his achievements in wireless communication. In fact, aside from wired, internet lines that need to handle significant traffic, such as undersea cables that manage massive data transmission, we can see that the majority of the internet environment around us is wireless. The most representative examples are Wi-Fi, and including previous generations like LTE and 5G, as well as the fact that almost all minor data communications between individuals are essentially conducted through wireless communication. Another typical example is Bluetooth and WAP, which was notorious for causing phone bill shocks during the feature phone era, also falls under wireless communication. In addition, most connections with peripheral devices are also made wirelessly, with the most common example being a wireless mouse. Recently, we can see that there are active attempts to replace not only data, transmission and reception, but also power supply with wireless technology. For more details, please refer to the wireless charging section. Looking more broadly, we can see that wireless technology is being utilized in a wide range of fields, beyond just IT devices in the private sector, one of which is satellites and satellite communication systems. The advantage of such a large-scale wireless communication system is that there are no spatial constraints. In fact, undersea cables can encounter communication issues if anomalies occur in the area where the cables are laid, and repairs can incur significant additional costs. However, in the case of wireless communication, as long as the transmitting and receiving devices of the two parties involved are functioning properly, and there are no variables affecting the communication, there are no limitations on the communication. For example, in everyday life, wired communication can be cumbersome due to the cables themselves, taking up space and being susceptible to external physical disturbances that can affect communication. In contrast, wireless communication requires only that the signals are not disrupted, allowing for less space usage, easier rearrangement, and the ability to operate over greater distances. However, this can conversely act as a disadvantage, as it is vulnerable to signal interference. While wired connections are relatively strong against external EMI, wireless communication often becomes unstable in strong signal environments. A common example of this is wireless earbuds, frequently disconnecting in the poor signal environment of a subway. In some closed countries, citizens may have to use jamming signals to prevent access to foreign radio and TV. However, despite these drawbacks, one of the advantages of wireless communication is its convenience, due to the absence of spatial constraints. Therefore, in the private sector, wireless communication is increasingly preferred, unless large-scale transmission and reception are required. And the power supply is also gradually shifting towards a growing wireless charging market. Recently, there have been ongoing attempts to establish internet networks solely through wireless communication, If this is successfully completed, it will mean the true concept of wireless internet is realized. Next, it shows the key technologies used in wireless communication. Facility-based stations, mobility management technology, soft handover, vertical mobility can be seen when the three-layer IP address changes due to handover. Between the same type, movement, between YBRO and WLAN, and movement between WLAN and CDMA. The meaning of paging is an algorithm that notifies the mobile device of an incoming call signal. Soft handover operates two channels from adjacent base stations simultaneously and gradually disconnects one channel in the end. It is mainly used in CDMA systems. Hard handover disconnects the current call channel and immediately connects to another channel. Primarily used in FDMA and TDMA methods, soft handover refers to a handover that occurs only within a single cell, meaning a handover between different sectors of the same base station. Among wireless communication devices, a mobile phone is a wireless telephone developed for the purpose of using mobile communication services, which means it can be easily carried by individuals and used while on the move. It first appeared in the 1970s and became popular, starting in the late 1990s. The mobile phones we use today are actually mobile phones and are quite different from the ones used for military and official purposes in the mid-20th century. However, such outdated, since mobile phones have become almost impossible to find today. It is common in our language to refer to mobile phones as portable phones. The early mobile phones were devices that only performed the function of making calls. With the advent of feature phones, various entertainment functions, such as calculators, e-books, and MP3 players were added to mobile phones, and smartphones became like small computers with a universal OS installed, allowing users to install applications at their discretion. Until the early 2000s, feature phones had limited functions, and many basic mobile phones only allowed for calls and text messages. With the introduction of 3G and the continuous advancement of feature phone technology, basic mobile phones gradually disappeared. After the emergence of smartphones in the 2010s, the production of mobile phones that only had calling and texting functions was completely halted, making them hard to find in the market. And many people began to associate mobile phones with smartphones, although we have become accustomed to the features of mobile phones and may not notice it. If we were to identify the invention that brought about the greatest change in our daily lives, alongside PCs and the internet during the transition from the 20th century to the 21st century, it would undoubtedly be this. If you carefully examine the creations from before the invention of mobile phones, you would often find situations that could have been easily resolved with a mobile phone, but were instead tackled with great difficulty. For example, if I need to quickly inform someone of certain information, if someone is watching me by making noise or moving so that I can't move, it would be simple to just send a text now, but it was very difficult in the past. If we couldn't find each other at the meeting place, we had no means of contacting each other and had to wander around, looking for one another. The features that can generally be used on modern mobile phones are as follows. Of course, smartphones have more features than feature phones. The items listed below can be considered as features that are commonly pre-installed on smartphones. There are a lot of features on mobile phones. Next, we will find out what a feature phone is. Since 2011, as smartphones became widely adopted, the term used to refer to old mobile phones that are not smartphones has started to be widely used for the purpose of distinguishing them from smartphones. Literally, it means a feature phone. It is not a neologism. Created after the popularization of smartphones in the past, it referred to high-end mobile phones with various features, such as music, video, games, and banking in addition to calling functions. In other words, it's just a phone that can make calls, but it also includes various features, like text messaging and a camera. Smartphones are essentially categorized as ultra-portable computers, disguised as phones. It's a misunderstanding to think of smartphones as merely ultra-portable computers for the general public. A regular phone, including feature phones, is essentially a computer with a built-in microcontroller that can be programmed, while a phone that only makes calls might be thought of as a landline early. Mobile phones and car phones had only the functionality to make calls. For example, there are the Samsung SH series and SC series, and there are also lighter phones that inherit the legacy of these call-only mobile phones. Technically, it corresponds to 1G AMPS. However, after Apple in the U.S. released the iPhone, which gained immense popularity and widespread adoption, other companies began to rush to create smartphones, and as many people started using smartphones, all non-smart mobile phones came to be referred to as feature phones. In English-speaking countries, there's also the term dumb phone to refer to phones that are not smart. In Japanese, feature phones are referred to as Galapagos, and the common abbreviation is GARIC, which has led some people to misunderstand it as meaning a fake mobile phone.